Live pictures from the Milimani courts in Nairobi, where the Court of Appeal is set to make a major judgment with ramifications on the August 8th election. The court will determine an appeal by IEBC that sought to quash a High Court decision cancelling the presidential ballot paper tender. We'll bring you the proceedings live as they happen. Right, we'll also be live in Tot, Elgeyo Marakwet County, where the funeral of former Cabinet Minister Nicholas Pibot will be taking place. The Jubilee leadership led by President Kenyatta will be attending the funeral. And on the campaign trail, meanwhile, the National Super Alliance takes their campaigns to Kitui. And those are live pictures now from Tot in Elgeyo Marakwet County. Thank you for joining us. This is Citizen Extra. I'm Hussein Mohammed in studio with our analysts and guests. Ray Ochieng is the governance analyst. We have Dr. Sam Kamau, political analyst. Ansan Omari is a constitutional lawyer and political analyst, and of course Gabriel Muduma, our political analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning. Now, a five-judge bench, as we told you, of the High Court, of the Court of Appeal rather, will in the next hour or so determine an appeal by IEBC that sought to quash a High Court decision that cancelled the presidential ballot paper tender, which had been awarded to the buy-based firm Al Ghurair. The High Court faulted the IEBC for lack of public participation, grounds that Electoral Commission terms frivolous to warrant the cancellation of the tender. Sam Gituku is a reporter, the Milimani courts now, and he joins us live with the latest. Sam, what are we expecting and what time will the judgment be made?
Well, good morning, Hussein. I believe, yes, as you said, yes, the five-judge bench is supposed to appear before the court. That is about 9:30. That is the time that had been scheduled to come and give that very important ruling on what should be the fate of the ballot papers, the presidential ballot papers approaching the election, which is just 18 days away. And definitely what we'll be expecting is to hear whether the judges have been convinced by IEBC in as far as the consideration that has to do with Article 10 of the Constitution, the requirement that they should have done public participation.
So you're saying we're going to
be heard. But this is a controversial...
Sorry for that, if you could continue, please.
Yes, Hussein, this is... right, as I was saying, this has been a controversial matter because the Commission has been insisting that the requirement in Article 10 is about people participation. So the lawyer for IEBC, Paul Moite, was telling the judges on Friday last week that the Constitution talks about people participation. It does not talk about public participation. And he was saying that the people participation that Article 10 of the Constitution was looking forward to can be done through the representatives of the people, that is at the National Assembly and also at the Senate, basically talking about the parliamentary involvement. And he was saying that if that be the case, then there was people participation in arriving at the decision to award the tender to Al Ghurair, because the IEBC commissioners had appeared before the Committee of Parliament on legal affairs, indicating that they were going to choose Al Ghurair. But of course, we'll be expecting to see what the judges will have to say from the contestations that were given by the opposition, the National Super Alliance, as well as the candidate, the independent candidate, presidential candidate Ekuru Aukot, when he said that he should have been considered, he should have been consulted when IEBC was arriving at this decision, because he says that IEBC only consulted the presidential candidates of the Jubilee Party and also the National Super Alliance, but ignored Dr. Ekuru Aukot. So will the judges be convinced and rule in favor of NASA and also in favor of Dr. Ekuru Aukot? That is what we'll be expecting to hear from the judges when they appear in a few minutes' time. Hussein.
Well, it's interesting, Sam. Whatever way the judges, whatever judgment the five-judge bench makes in the next hour or so. But you've been following this story. You've been following the... I mean, you were actually in Dubai and you went to the printing firm Al Ghurair. IBC, in their appeal on Friday last week, said they need about 50 days if they are to retender. But we are getting mixed signals, again, from the same commission, other commissioners saying that they are also continuing the process of retendering concurrently. Is that what they are doing, or are they pegging everything on this judgment?
Well, I can only react to that based on what the Commission has been telling us. And when we spoke to the Chief Executive Officer of IBC, that is Ezra Chiloba, earlier this week, he was saying that they're not just waiting for the ruling of the Court of Appeal today. He says that that would be foolhardy on their side, because the decision can go either way. And if it goes against their aspirations, then that would be dangerous for them, because they have to deliver an election in 18 days. So in as far as considering other options, that is what they have been saying that they are considering. But from our assessment, we have seen that they have they have really invested in this particular appeal before the Court of Appeal, expecting that they will rule in their favor, because you realize that IEBC had initially indicated that they were going to start the printing of the presidential ballot papers as early as Tuesday this week. So they are 2 days late with this ruling coming today. So if the court rules in their favor, then it will be an advantage for them, because they just need to signal Al Ghurair to proceed on to print the ballot papers. But in as far as preparing for getting an alternative to print these ballot papers, we are not sure whether that has been happening because of the argument in court. Their lawyer, that is Karuri Kamau, last week indicated that they need those 50 days to do the fresh procurement. But something else was said that may seem that IEBC has been taking precaution is from the public participation that they have been that they pursued. Sometimes last week I remember that they went to invite the presidential candidates to appear before them, and also invited public memoranda, and we are told that 71 people responded, giving indications or giving advice of their contribution of how the presidential ballot papers tender should be pursued. So is this part of the solution? We'll wait to see from the court ruling here. And of course, if the court rules in the favor of IBC, then they'll have to suspend all other preparations that they may have been taking in ensuring that they get the ballot papers from a different vendor. Hussein.
I thank you, Sam. We'll be talking to you later on, if you could stay with us. We'll also have a discussion with our panel around this major judgment that we are expecting. Meanwhile, former powerful cabinet minister Nicholas Biwott will be buried today in his Tot rural home in Elgeyo Marakwet rather. President Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are expected at the funeral that will also be attended by several leaders. Stephen Leto is our reporter there and now joins us live with the latest. Leto.
Well, a very good morning to you, Hussein Mohammed. There in studio, we are in Elgeyo Marakwet County. This is Kaptarakwa, where the funeral service of the late Nicholas Biwott, former cabinet minister, is currently taking place. This is the field for Maria Soti Educational Center, where the setup has been made for that kind of, and that of course is what the burial is going to take place. But right now there is a lot happening. Ushering of visitors as well as friends, relatives is at top gear. Behind me is where they are being ushered from, getting into this massive tent that is holding mourners of this particular ceremony. But where we are, it was named. It is Maria Soti Educational Center. It was named after the late mother of the late cabinet minister Nicholas Biwott. Remember, he was a member of parliament for 28 straight years, where he represented Keyo South constituency under the Kanu regime. And now his death, of course, he has been eulogized by several leaders. President Uhuru Kenyatta leading the nation in mourning him after his death on July 11th. And what now is being expected, the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, his deputy William Ruto, as well as government officials, including cabinet ministers, and of course ambassadors, because the late is a man who was known as a friend to many, though he maintained a low profile, and some eulogized him as a man who really was not interested in seeking political, publicity. And so, just quickly, Hussein, I want to sample views and, of course, eulogies from several people here in Elgeyo Marakwet who are attending this burial ceremony, who say they knew the late cabinet minister Nicholas Biwott, also known as Total Man by his political class. And now we want just to join one of them here. Tell us your name and how do you remember the late Nicholas Biwott?
My name is Dr. Hosea Kiplagat, a lecturer at University of Eldoret. I must say that we are here to eulogize a man that really served this community. When I went to the university, I got I benefit from the program of the education that he has started. And when I finished my university, I came back to the community and served in the same organization, that is Keio South Education Foundation program. And after that, I worked with him as the manager of the Keio South Constituency Office, whereby I was the link between the government, him as the MP, and also the people. And really we did a lot in developing our constituency. Yes. So
in general, how do you view his death? How will it affect this region? We understand he was sponsoring a lot of educational activities.
I know a lot of people are feeling the loss, but this day I want to encourage the current leaders to be able to build up on the programs that he started, so that more people can go back to school and even be encouraged to do their own things.
Well, thank you. Also, we have another one here. Just tell us your name and how you remember the total man.
Thank you very much. My name is Kipchumba Gipso. My other name is Kumba. Total Man is a friend, is a father, is a mentor. He sponsored me through education. I went through Teachers Training College in Tambach. He secured me a job in TSC. I'm currently a teacher at Kapsoya Primary School, a deputy teacher. And I owe a lot to Honorable Nicholas Biwott. We have been together. He's my neighbor. He has done marvelous in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of people with disabilities, and also in roads. Remember, Keio South is one of the constituencies in the Republic of Kenya which they first got rural electrification way back in 1980s. Keio South is one of the constituencies in the Republic of Kenya which benefited from the Keio South Foundation Fund, which was initially initiated by Honorable Biwott. So losing Honorable Biwott is losing our father and a mentor. And I welcome all the people from all over the Republic to join us today in sending this hero, giving him a crown, a send-off. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Another one, and maybe one last one here. Just tell us yourself and your name and how you remember the late Total Man.
My name is John Kosgei. I'm a manager in one of the companies of the Honorable Biwott. This marks actually the end of a great legend in the politics of Elgeyo Marakwet and Kenya as a whole. I remember the Honorable Biwott having employed me 22 years ago. And I've worked for him all these years, and I remember a lot about him on issues of development, on how we used to encourage the people of Elgeyo Marakwet and the country at large. So this is a great loss, and we've lost a great leader, inspirational leader, who did a lot for the people of Elgeyo Marakwet. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and maybe one last one here to tell us what you remember about. Tell us your name and what you remember about the late Nicholas Biwott.
My name is Bethwell Chelasho. I remember him as one of the great development leaders. I am part of his team for the development of the tea industry. We have a factory here called the Sisibo Tea Factory. So he really did a lot in building the development in the Elgeyo Marakwet County, and he's really established a lot of industries. So Sisibo Tea Factory is one of the big industries established. So we'll remember him as one of the big leaders who brought development in his home county. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, those are just locals here who are eulogizing the late Nicholas Biwott. With me here is the burial program, where we are told the organizers intend to finish this very fast, because the late Nicholas Biwott will be laid to rest not in this field but some few kilometers from here. That is where his rural home. But of course, Nicholas Biwott Hussein has been termed as one of the most feared men under the Moi era during the KANU regime. But some have even eulogized him, saying that despite that hard face, he was even referred as a carnet in Kalenjin, meaning a steel, made of steel. But they have spoken softly about him. They have termed him as one of the most spoken men in the village. They have said he is even one of the men who really spent a lot of time with his family, and saying that besides that that feared face in government, he still had that humane side of him, and so that is what people say really led him to to really assist this particular region. He was a philanthropist. He has really established a lot of education centers here. For instance, where we are right now, that is Maria Soti Education Center. And we are also told that he has also sponsored a lot of students even abroad to seek their education. Particularly, they say that the Nicholas Biwott was really keen about improving the lives of the locals who are living in this particular region in terms of education, because according to him, they say he really believed in empowering young people to becoming educated and thereafter uplifting the lives of the community living in this particular region. But for now, guests are already coming in. We are also seeing choppers in the sky landing in this particular region, just trying, to make their way here. We understand that already Baringo Senator Gideon Moi is already here. Remember, his father was the political mentor of the late Nicholas Biwott, and that is when he served in the government of Moi. That is when he acquired his skill that the locals here now call him the Cornet man. But of course, this burial being a politically active, we expect political temperatures to rise. President Uhuru Kenyatta will be here. The Deputy President will be here. And of course, the former President Moi will be here. But remember, there has been a lot of political supremacy battles between the Deputy President as well as Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, who has already checked in to this particular tent where the burial is going on. And so we are going to see how the politics will unfold. But all the same, the send-off of a man that has been regarded as a man of the people, a man of steel that really changed the life of this particular region. But we understand that the program, they intend to expedite it because they will be starting this particular ceremony with a prayer service, of course, a ceremony, because now heading to the speeches by political leaders and of course other dignitaries who will come to mourn with the rest of the country for the man that has fallen. But of course, we are still not sure whether opposition leaders will make their way here. We understand the NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga attended the Requiem Mass in Nairobi. We saw also Tanzania's former president Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete also attending that Requiem Mass at AIC Milimani. But all of them have not yet confirmed whether they'll make their way to Kaptarakwa, where we are now, his final send-off. But of course, the appearance of several leaders who will be coming here. We've seen several members of parliament coming here. We've seen the governor for Elgeyo Marakwet, Tolgos, also making their way here. And we are, of course, keen on seeing what really message the political class will have here, being the late Biwott being a politically active man. He was last seen in public during the burial of the late Makto, also a close confidant of President Daniel Arap Moi. And Biwott, Hussein was also termed as a man who really liked or really never missed attending, for instance, the big functions. For instance, he attended the burial of the late William Ole Ntimama in Narok, and a few months again, he also attended the burial of the late John Keane in Namanga. And recently, that is last day, he also attended the burial of Makto, where there was a lot, he had a very good message to the politicians on the ground, saying that they need to bring people together ahead of the August 8 polls. His message was very categorical to the Deputy President William Ruto, saying that he needs to bring the entire country together, particularly the Kalenjin flock, saying that he was really doing a great job in ensuring that he brings the people together. But of course, I want to hand you back to studio, Hussein, but later on, of course, you will be getting live coverage from this particular region where we are, Maria Soti Educational Center. But as you can see, a lot of people are making their way inside this tent. It's a mega tent that is holding over 5,000 mourners, according to the organizers of this particular event. And so later on, we'll be able to join you as and when, of course, all the dignitaries arrive. And of course, as soon as President Kenyatta arrives here, then we'll be able to bring you the live pictures from Maria Soti Educational Center in Elgeyo Marakwet. Back to you, Hussein Mohammed.
Thank you so much. Stephen Leto will be joining you later. As you said, we'll be following the proceedings there live. Now, Now, a 5-judge bench, as we told you, of the High Court will be delivering a major judgment in the next hour. This is out of an appeal by IEBC that sought to quash a High Court decision that cancelled the presidential ballot paper tender, which had been awarded to Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair. Now, in studio, as I told you earlier, I have Rayo Chieng, a governance analyst, Dr. Sam Kamau, political analyst, Dunstan Omari, constitutional lawyer and political analyst, and Gabriel Muduma, a political analyst. Thank you again, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning. It's a ruling with implications to the election date, which is, slightly over 2 weeks away. And I'll start with you, Dunstan. What do you expect?
Today is quite a momentous day for this nation. Kenyans will be looking at who is going to win, who is going to lose. Is it Jubilee? Is it NASA? That decision of the Court of Appeal has 2 dimensions. Politically, it is about who wins. Legally, it has a different dimension. Let me start with the legal implication of the decision today. Hussein, there's a vacuum of procurement in this nation. What are the laws that deal with procurement? Is public participation supposed to be in procurement? There are different modes of procurement provided under the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2005 as reviewed in 2010. So today, the Court of Appeal is going to give the guidelines, the threshold of up to what time can public participation be, who can be defined as a person qualified to participate, how will it be conducted, and I'm definite that the court will give timelines for Parliament to enact that law and the regulations for public participation. That will push this country very far, because in all government issues, public procurement has always been dealt with the tenderpreneurs in top secrecy. And that is the source of corruption in this country. So once the Court of Appeal gives that legal definition and those thresholds, citizens of this nation we will start ululating and celebrating, because it will have unlocked the biggest problem of this nation. Politically, the question before the court is one: time, convenience. Can the court uphold the decision of the High Court? Yet the timelines are running. We are around 17 days to the election day. So purely, if there will be another tendering for procurement, will it meet the timelines? The NASA Brigade is saying there is more time. The Jubilee and IBC and the Ukuru Court and the others are saying there is no time. So the court will be faced with 2 questions. A political question, which I'll call the public interest, whether the court will go to save the nation if indeed there is no time. 2, the constitutional interpretation of the law. If they make a decision in favor of the IBC, will they have clawed back the constitution that Kenyans fought for? Will they take this country to the dark ages where Wanjiku's voice was never required in any issue? So today the courts are faced with a serious dilemma. Do they uphold the Constitution? Do they interpret the Constitution as provided for in the Constitution in Article 259, that the Constitution must be interpreted in a manner that develops the law? Or will they interpret the Constitution to accommodate convenience, to accommodate the question of justification of breaking the law based on timelines? So that, I will say, to me, is my view. But I'm very definite that today is the greatest day this country will get in terms of the definition of what is public participation for the betterment of this nation. Right,
that's some great analysis. Still not answering my question, because you're at liberty not to answer it. I'll put it to Ray. For you. Thanks for not. That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing analysis. I'll put it to Ray.
Let me explain. Let me defend myself. I cannot say the decision of the court as a lawyer.
You cannot. But what do you expect?
I expect that the courts will uphold the rule of law, the Constitution, and the Constitution is very clear. Let me put it very clearly. The law talks of Article 10. Yes. public participation. In the enactment of the Public Procurement Act, in its long introduction, it says it is a parliamentary act to bring into life Article 227. It moves further to say that public procurement will be done in line with principles and values of Article 10. If that is what is there in the Public Procurement Act, the court cannot run away from that. It will simply say, if the Public Procurement Act itself speaks of Article 10 being the guiding principles, therefore, I'm suspecting that the Court of Appeal will uphold the decision of the High Court.
Great.
Hussein, this is a very risky panel for TV, and I think you should give us a leeway of walking out. And to cool down the temperatures, and we've had Dunstan, the good lawyer he is, he's really navigated us into a lot of very murky narrative that we don't understand. But in terms of coming, and as also is rightly pointed out, Hussein, there are a few things that Kenyans would want to see today. Kenyans will not look at the technical side of how this case is going to be. And this case sadly has also been christened in a way to be Jubilee versus NASA battle. And that's what, again, I think a discussion point that we're going to rally around. Yeah. So as the court is going to be making a decision of saying, people are not looking at in terms of, Dunstan has looked at posterity, that if they give a guideline, then because Article 10 has not been also, does not have a framework to be operationalized further. So if the court gives that direction, but that notwithstanding, what we are asking today, and where Kenyans are divided today, we're saying it is sad that people are going to look at, will Jubilee win or will NASA win? So that again ties us to another narrative that we've been having of late, is in terms of the perception of the credibility of these elections. You know, one side is alluding that the fact that High Court will rule, the Court of Appeal will rule and uphold the High Court's ruling, then it will show as if then IBC is being fought, and in terms of then IBC has also argued about timeline. And Hussein, again, they've also shot themselves from the foot by indicating that notwithstanding, they can still be prepared within even the short days of the ruling. So as this discussion pans out, I would want to wait and see what my colleagues say.
They can still be prepared. They can still do it.
Yeah.
If there's no, I mean, if they're not going to retender again, they can continue with it.
Yeah, they can continue.
But retendering, in the appeal, they said they need another 50 days.
They need another 50 days. But either way, we are waiting. But the perception is it's a nascent Jubilee. That's where the sad christening of this case has led us to.
Okay, Dr. Kamau, or first I'll go to Gabriel first. Yeah.
Thank you, Hussein. Let me begin by what Dunstan has just told us, and I agree. You know, Dunstan, you know, seriously, you have a very good legal advantage than actually me and Ray. But from where I'm sitting, what I'd like to question, you mentioned the issue of legality. Where did IEBC, and probably Dunstan, this you can explain to us, and probably the common Kenyan, where did IEBC break the law? Because when NASA moved the motion, the two prayers that they brought to court were both rejected. So as a layman, as a voter, I'd like to know, where did IEBC break the law? Because from the judgment you are told about public participation, it's a Kuro court who has actually given that particular element. And when you question the public participation, again, as a voter, my view is, Dunstan, is that the person who represents me, who have actually given the Ionas as a leader, is my member of parliament. He is the one who goes to parliament to legislate on my behalf. That is how my public participation is extended through parliament. So I remember Justice Maraga saying, and actually telling IBC, if you are to do public participation, it does not mean that you'll have to involve the whole country. Who then must you involve? And if we are to go to ask Ray, and I think Sam and Ray, and actually to an extent you, Dunstan, you'll agree with me that the Parliamentary Joint Select Committee were representing Wanjiko. They sat down, led by Senator Morongi and Senator Orengo. They moved out to remove a commission that was placed in office constitutionally and brought another one through what you call a legal political bypass. Today, then you have to tell me, if I'm not represented, why were people lying on the road? Why were people being thrown tear gas to? And then you come today to tell me there was no public participation. I think this is where the joke is coming in. And when Ray says that you have people saying this is a win between NASA and Jubilee, people get confused. We are convoluted today because you are telling us there's no public participation. But I am represented by my member of parliament. To an extent, tell me. That is why nobody understands when you talk about public participation. And then again, if you are to tell the country and the viewers today that there is some innuendos happening, or this will be the grand justice that we've been waiting for, people are going to question, people are going to ask. Then all the developments, all the procurements that we have seen happen, like the SGR and what have you, where was public participation? I pose that question to you.
Can Hussein allow me to answer that?
Please do.
Okay. The answer is simply found in this. Public participation is found in Article 10. The provisions of the Constitution, the way they are arranged.
On national values and principles of governance.
Yes.
It does not talk about public participation.
What does it talk?
Look at it, Dunstan.
I have it on head, and
go ahead. Read it to the confused voter.
The citizens should understand this. When Parliament, you are representative,
correct,
from West Mogrango constituency, my member of Parliament makes a law. That law is only tested against the Constitution, whether it is constitutional. The Constitution was made by my members from West Mogrango constituency, directly called Wanjiko. If Wanjiko has spoken, that Constitution is given to the courts. It is never given to Parliament. Parliament will make a law, it will be interpreted against the Constitution. So, direct participation by a committee of Parliament, is it participation as enshrined in Article 10? The three judges found out that that is not participation. They did not define what participation is. The High Court failed on one test. They did not define the scope, the timelines, who qualifies to be a participant in participation, and all the other questions. So we expect the judges at the Court of Appeal now to give the real interpretation that the Attorney General, and I'm definite, once they do the judgment today, they will tell the Attorney General that this law of public participation and the rules of public participation must be enacted within a particular timeline. Parliament will be given a timeline to enact that law. Once that has been enacted, they cannot be utilized against SGR because there is no use of law in a retrospective manner. The law applies forward. So, from today, once we have the pronouncements of the Court of Appeal, unless that is challenged in the Supreme Court, we expect to have a clear roadmap forward. Politically, because Kenyans are politicians, they want to hear, is NASA winning? Is Jubilee winning? Is IBC winning? I have put it very clearly that the Constitution provides for public participation. The Constitution provides for protection of the fundamental human rights as enshrined in Article 10.
But we are admitting that.
Of course.
The public participation so far.
Let me get Mr. Samau to come out.
All right, I think Hussein, you have made so many legal arguments that have already been made in court. And I actually think this is not the place to make those legal arguments, because what we are waiting for today is for the Court of Appeal to actually tell us whether they will uphold the decision of the High Court or set it aside. Now, there are political implications, and I think this is what we can actually focus on, especially for Wanjiko, and this is what Wanjiko is interested in. Should the High Court of Appeal go ahead and uphold the decision of the High Court, it means then IEBC will have to consider other vendors or other printers for the ballot papers. But what does it mean? Of course, we have been saying for quite some time, I think more than 1 year ago, that there is no sufficient time. In fact, I think even borrowing from the Kriegler report, we were actually supposed to have set IBC in place, or rather the new commissioners, 2 years before the elections. Now, we did this close to the elections. So 1 year ago, we were saying there is no sufficient time. 3 months ago, we say there is no time. 60 days ago, we say there is no time. Now we have 19 days to go, or 18, and we are still saying there is more time or there is no time. And I think that is the confusion that is there. So if the Court of Appeal today upholds the High Court's decision, now IBC will be under so much pressure within 18 days to actually make sure that the election still happens on 8th by getting a new printer. Now, Hussein, what I know, and I've always argued, there is no such thing as I'm a last-minute person. Anything that is done under pressure the last minute, something will go wrong. Something is bound to go wrong. And this is what I am afraid about. The other thing is, of course, the Court of Appeal could decide to set aside the judgment or the decision of the High Court, which means then IBC can go ahead with Al Ghurair. What does it mean? Of course, politically, there will be a lot of noise. NASA will be dissatisfied with this decision because they have already made it clear that they are uncomfortable and unhappy with Al Ghurair. That means then the issue of credibility and the perception that in this sense, that they feel the referee then is not fair because their problem is with IBC. Looking at it then, it means there is one loser, whichever way it goes. That is IBC. Correct. Whichever way the Court of Appeal, the ruling goes. Because it means IBC will be under so much pressure if they have to deliver or get a new printer within 18 days, or they will actually be much pressure from NASA, as they have always been, regarding their preparedness to actually handle this election. And that is one of my greatest concerns. IBC, which is supposed to be an independent body, is one of the most harassed, one of the most supervised, one of the most policed institutions that has been created by this constitution. Finally, for Wanjiku, I'm also keen, for me as a person, what does it mean? What is public participation? Because that is one thing that has never been clarified. What does it mean for me to participate in public participation? I argued with Omari a while ago that even this public participation we've always talked about is actually only organized groups and lobby groups that are able to organize and pull their resources together and make submissions. If you ask IBC, because they ask for views from the public, it's only organized groups and organized, CSOs that are able to come together, women groups or youth groups. But for the ordinary Mwananchi, I think they are still disconnected from this process.
Right, okay, very interesting analysis. And there's still more as you wait for that judgment anytime from now. The Court of Appeal will also be crossing over again to talk to Sam Gituku, a reporter who will be joining us live from the Milimani courts. We're taking a short break now on Citizen Extra. Stay tuned.